Thank you all for coming this morning. As you know, next Monday, the United States will recognize Memorial Day, our most solemn of holidays. And on that day, we take a moment as a nation to honor and remember those Americans who have given the ultimate sacrifice in their selfless service to our nation. That is why I'm proud to be here today with Representative Courtney to introduce a joint resolution designating the Honor and Remember flag as Ohio's official emblem of the service and sacrifice by those in the United States Armed Forces who have given their lives in the line of duty. The Honor and Remember flag will serve as an emblem for all Ohioans to display as a token of the appreciation, reverence, and respect that we have for all those who have given their lives, defending their families, friends, neighbors, and country. It is estimated that there are 1.6 million fallen service persons throughout the history of our nation, and this flag will serve to honor and remember all of them. We have in front of us here today a Honor and Remember flag, as well as the Ohio Chapter President, Tom Mitchell, is here with us today. We'll ask Tom for a few comments here in a moment. Representative Combs.
Thank you, Representative Uecker. Joe and I have been working on this for well over a year. I think it's very appropriate and fitting that we have a symbol that we haven't had before in this country. Something that has been long overdue and is spreading throughout the nation. And Ohio is one of the states that has come forward in order to honor those who have perished in active service. We have had many, unfortunately, in our districts. Joe just not long ago had one from Afghanistan. I have been at too many funerals for these fallen soldiers, and anything that we can do to recognize their ultimate sacrifice. The families appreciate these types of things so much. It's so moving when they are presented with one of these flags. And as we go throughout the nation to make this a national type of observance, even going back to former wars, Tom may be able to speak more to this than I can, but we've had families, World War I, correct, Tom? World War II, who have never been honored, actually, appropriately. And for some of these families, for some of the now grandmothers and great-grandmothers of actually husbands who have lost their lives many years ago, this is just a fitting tribute to them. So it is just with great pride that Joe and I respectfully will present this resolution to the House and of course to the Senate. And hopefully, quickly, we'll get legislation to pass this resolution on. But Ohio is one of the states that will ask the federal government to hastily perform what they've got, a resolution at the House or Congress to pass this and make it a national symbol for us. Tom, would you like to say anything? Or
Sure.
Come on up here.
I'm not a microphone type of guy, but adjust your levels. Normally when I do a flag presentation, there's no microphone available. I'd first like to thank Representatives Combs and Uecker for their support today. In August of 2005, one of my friends lost his nephew in Iraq, and I witnessed the outpouring of community support where the community came together and showed the family through their difficult time And over time, the community goes back to normal, which is what it's supposed to do, and that allows the family private time in order to grieve and deal with their loss in a private manner. But what got me to thinking was, what happens 3 months, 6 months, 3 years, 10 years down the road, where the family is still sitting there at night with an empty chair at their dining room table, and the rest of the world is just going along its merry business. In December of 2005, a man by the name of George Lutz lost his son in Iraq, and he firsthand experienced what I got to see as a spectator. And after all of the community support died down, he went on a mission to talk to as many Gold Star families as he could. And the two overwhelming themes that came out of those talks were that these families wished that their sacrifice not be in vain, and that their loved ones never be forgotten. So in Memorial Day in 2008, George Lutz from Virginia unveiled this flag and embarked on a national campaign to have this flag accepted as the national symbol, honoring and remembering all of our fallen service members. I saw him on a national news service and had struggled for several years to figure out how I wanted to help remember my friend's nephew. So I called him and volunteered to become the Ohio chapter director. Ohio has always led the nation in respect to this. A lot of people joke that if you want, when the world ends, you want to live in the Midwest because everything happens there 20 years later. But it's really not the truth. Ohio has always been at the forefront of all the things that mattered. Ohio has particularly paid a high toll in helping defend our nation. We have the 4th state chapter for Honor and Remember. We will be the 5th or 6th state to pass a resolution to adopt the flag as our state symbol. We have I keep telling people this is going to take the rest of my life, and then some. Ohio's lost approximately 70,000 people in military service since Ohio became a state. Approximately 260 in Iraq and Afghanistan, 19 in Desert Storm, almost 3,100 in Vietnam, 1,700 in Korea, 23,000 in World War II, 6,500 in World War I, and the last figure I saw was approximately 35,000 in the Civil War. And obviously there aren't too many records going back that far, so the statistics are kind of murky. But to put it in perspective, if every state lost the same amount of people that Ohio lost in Vietnam, there would be 150,000 names on the Vietnam wall, not 58,000. And it makes me proud to be here today with all of you, knowing that Ohio is going to help lead this effort. And I want to thank all of you for coming out.
Thank you, Tom. I think it also should be mentioned that this is a bipartisan support. We have members co-signed, co-sponsored from both sides of the aisle, and we really expect this to go through the General Assembly fairly quickly. We probably introduced it a little too late last year, which is why it didn't get through, but we expect it to do a lot better this year. Are there any questions?
What exactly would this do? Would this tell the federal government they have to pay for the flags, or how does that work?
Well, the law, HR 546 that's in the U.S. Congress does have stipulations that the governmental agencies would have to go out and purchase flags and fly them. alongside the American flag and the POWMIA flag. None of my efforts in the state or the local efforts have a legal aspect of having government funds going to these. We all know we're on tough economic times, and what I've done for the city of Hamilton, Fairfield Township, and Butler County, I work with local foundations that have donated the funds for the flags for those government agencies when they've adopted the flag. And and those 3 entities have adopted the flag and are flying them. So we do not expect the state to run out and buy a flag. In fact, this flag right here is slated to be the flag for the Capitol when it gets approved for adopted in the state of Ohio.
How much is the flag?
We have 2 different kinds. This is the hand-sewn applique flag. It's a 3x5 flag. These right now are $250. We also have screen print flags that are a lot more economical. Those are $50 a piece. And the flags that we have special made for our families that we present to, they come across the bottom where Honor and Remember is. They have their family members' rank, name, the date they were killed, and where they were killed, hand embroidered across the bottom. And those flags with the certificate and the presentation are $325. And we've done 15 flag presentations since Ohio's become a chapter in January of last year. And I have 5 flags sitting at home awaiting scheduling flag presentations to those families. And one interesting story is that the Hamilton Professional Firefighters Association sponsored 2 flags for family members that have been firefighters in the city of Hamilton. And one of the guys grew up 5 blocks away from me, and I didn't even know it. His name was Sergeant Thomas Lee Cleansing, and we grew up in Lindenwold, 5 blocks apart from each other. And he died in Vietnam, and I never knew him while he was alive, and now I'll never forget him. And that's exactly why the Honor and Remember flag has been put into place.
Are the what kind of response do you get off these? Are the families really want them? And tell us about that.
What we do, we travel across the state to anybody that will have us, and we do talks with VFW groups and church groups, and we sell the 3x5 flags and pins and bumper stickers to raise money to purchase the personalized flags. We don't ask any family for money. In fact, I try to discourage it. I had one lady call me last July 3rd while we were at the Cleveland Indians game, and she's right here in Columbus. Her name's Sandra Paul, and her son Craig was killed in Vietnam, and she had read about us in the Columbus Dispatch when we were up here on July 1st, and she wanted to make a donation. And while we were talking, she told me that her son had died in Vietnam. I told her I didn't want any of her money. And she sent us a check for $50 anyway and helped pay for somebody else's flag. And I told this story at a Meet the Candidate forum last September, and a lady tapped on my shoulder and handed me a check to buy her flag. So it's just all private donations and word of mouth, and it's...
And there is some fundraising activities. Do you have one coming up that you want to mention real fast?
We do have Honor and Remember Night at the Cincinnati Reds on Memorial Day. It's a 7:10 p.m. game against the Brewers. Right now they're tied with the Brewers for second place. And you can get your tickets at reds.com/honor and remember. And $7.50 for every ticket sold goes to help us purchase flags for families.